So you talked a couple times about some different things that you have shifted around, such as like, oh, I got 50 years of being programmed to like eat a certain way, you know? So I'm curious, and you mentioned supplements a couple times. So could both of you talk about some of the things that maybe you have changed or maybe flipped on? You know, I know for myself, there's been a lot of things I look back and I go, oh man, for 20 years, I thought this. And now I do the complete opposite. So for instance, I grew up a cardio warrior. So it's just more running, more cycling, more hours on whatever is, and that's how you get fitter is you just do more. And I was just pounding myself on the floor. And so now I'm 45 and I have all these overuse injuries. And I've spent the last few years like working on mobility and flexibility and strength. And I feel so much fitter and I look so much better than I did when I was like 30, for instance. But it took a lot of time to change that because like you, it's like, oh, I had 20 or 30 years like reinforcing this, you know, the left hallway, and now I'm going down the right hallway, pun intended. So I'm curious for yourselves, like what has been some of those biggest shifts for you?
I think for myself, I want to say that, you know, we owned a 10,000 square foot fitness center and Medi-Spa. We in that center, we trained a lot of bodybuilders. And so I think that that's a great avenue to take. But for me as a woman, what I found as I was aging, I found it harder to hold on to that muscle tone and all of that. So I kind of changed my routine and gotten into a little bit more body pumping now and getting my yoga in and just making sure that, I'm keeping myself flexible because there's all that tension on the muscles constantly. Like you said, you feel the injuries, you feel, as you're aging, you feel the impact that has. So I've lightened up my exercise routine where I do more body pumping, more cardio, more yoga, more mindfulness. I make sure that every day I start my morning with a meaningful meditation of some sort, gratitude, and setting intentions for the day. I think that even before I get on a phone call, I want to just sort of take myself back from that phone call and say, what is it that I can provide? What wisdom and guidance can I provide to the person that I'm about to speak to? And so setting that intention of how I can show up for people is also something else that I've changed dramatically. And that just, I think, re-energizes me throughout the entire day.
Is it okay if I tell a story? I was born a 10-pound baby, and I only got bigger from there. So in the elementary school I attended, I was the fat kid. In the middle school I attended, I was the fat kid. In high school, I was the fat kid. We all know it. We all know that one fat kid, that was me, guys. I was the fat kid all throughout my life. I graduated high school at 300 pounds, 18 years old, 300 pounds, only 6 feet tall. So it's not like I was, 8 feet tall. Got out of played rugby in college, 325. Got out of college, ballooned up to 350. So at 26 years old, I was 350 pounds and knew I was going to die. Just could feel it. At 30, I'm going to have a heart attack. So ended up playing racquetball against a buddy of mine. I'm going to shorten the story. Flipped the switch, toggle switch flipped, and I lost 150 pounds in 14 months. This was 23 years ago. And I'm not telling you guys about this for the weight loss, but I'm telling you about why I want to incorporate this in. So when I lost 150 pounds in 14 months, I did it by eating the Mediterranean diet before anybody knew what the Mediterranean diet was. 23 years ago, there was no Mediterranean diet. It was a book I read called The Zone. So, 25 years ago, The Zone was a very popular diet, endorsed by Olympic athletes, the whole 9 yards. And I followed it to the T and lost 150 pounds. And the reason I'm talking about this is because, again, it really harkened back to the Mediterranean diet. But the problem was I was so strict and so uptight for 14 months that I can barely stomach any of the foods I ate during that time. So, eating a salad with grilled chicken on it, zero desire. A lot of the foods that helped me lose the weight, I no longer desire. The reason I'm talking about this is the Mediterranean diet is what impacts the gut biome most powerfully. So when somebody is a very depressive state and they realize that's a mechanical issue, typically a gastrologist will put them on a Mediterranean diet and they'll see their mood elevate. For me, because I can't stand most of those foods anymore from being such a psycho and losing all that weight, I had to find another way to do it. And a little caveat, a little side point, The reason I realized that I could lose all that weight was because the Mediterranean diet made me happy. Until now, until a couple of years ago, I did not put two and two together that the reason I didn't quit dieting was because my gut was coming back into check. I was a 350-pound fat guy. I was living on McDonald's. I was living on donuts. I was living on booze. I mean, I was living a crazy fat guy lifestyle. And all of a sudden, that's it, done. All that stuff's gone. Now I only eat this precise diet. Come to find out, after I was able to endure it for a month, I started feeling better. And that's and again, not to bring dieting into this, but I think it's an important point because a lot of you guys probably deal with folks trying to lose weight. You know, when people hit that threshold point of, I can't deal with this diet anymore, it's driving me crazy, I hate it, I hate everybody, I'm feeling so miserable. If they can push a little beyond that point, typically the diet they're on will get their gut biome in a better position than they were, because they obviously have to lose weight for a reason. They probably were eating wrong, or probably drinking, whatever they were doing incorrectly. Now you are correcting that for them. So once they get beyond that threshold point and the gut biome starts catching back up again, they will feel happier. So just a little bit of like total side advice to anybody who works with weight loss customers, help them to get through the threshold point by explaining this to them. Your gut is broken, and it's broken because of the typical American diet. Always use this line, it's not your fault, because it's not. It's not your fault that you got into this position. You've been trained to eat this way your whole life. We are going to change this. The change is going to be hard. Change is always hard. We're human beings. No humans like to change. But if you can push through, and once you reach that worst point, that's when you want to make sure you have this conversation with them. Explain how the gut-brain axis works. Explain how the microbiome is what releases the happy chemicals that will allow them to stay on point with their diet. So that's what I learned. And again, it really just dawned on me a couple of years ago that the only reason I lost 150 pounds was because once I hit that threshold point, I didn't do any research. I just gutted it out, but then started feeling better and better every day. So again, going back to my, I'm sorry I went off on that tangent, but I wanted to make sure that anybody that deals with weight loss, explain that. Guys, do everybody a favor. Explain to people that when they hit that worst point, their gut biome is changing. And once that change integrates, they're going to feel better and better and better mentally. Mentally, they will feel better. They will be more attuned to your advice and more powerful in their diet. But again, I'm sorry to go back to that, going back. So what I found out was I can't eat those foods anymore. Okay, so I went through it. So, and this is what your client's going to tell you too 20 years later. 25 years later, when you talk to your clients, they're going to be like, man, I can't eat chicken on salad anymore. So because I don't enjoy the Mediterranean diet foods anymore, I had to supplement. I have no choice. I take pills and powders that I love, that I know align my microbiome, because again, I have to fill my peak. So, I'm kind of a weirdo that I don't like eating the foods that are going to make me feel better. So I almost force myself into taking supplements to make sure that my brain and my gut are working together.
But in addition to that, I want to say that because his microbiome has changed, he is no longer craving some of those bad foods that you do, right? So once you get that back into check, then all of a sudden your body is looking for the green smoothies and he drinks those. He might not want to admit right here, but like in the morning, I bring him a green smoothie, even though he doesn't want to do the Mediterranean diet stuff. I mean, he does get, his proper nutrients throughout the day between the foods we eat and the supplementation that we take.
And that's what a green smoothie is. It's a supplement. It's just a supplement of food,